Millions of people see you as a role model. What is your key to success?
I think mostly it's the attempts that I've made to say what I believe to be true. I mean, I have some talents. I would say I'm a very effective reader. I'm a very fast reader.
Okay.
And so I can process information, especially verbal information, extremely rapidly. So that's been very helpful to me.
And do you also remember it?
In a strange way. Like, there's people organize the way they learn in very different ways. And I have a large theory of the world, let's say, that's fully articulated, not fully, well articulated. And when I learn things, I plug it in. I plug the pieces that I learn into it, and then I remember those things. Some people I've known, professors I've known, great professors, remember far more than I do. They remember the name of the person who wrote the material. They remember the issue of the journal that it was published in. They have more of a library-like memory. I'm not like that. I have a body of knowledge that I can slot things into. And that's one of the things that enables me to lecture extemporaneously, because I have this large structure of knowledge that I can walk through in different ways, and I'm constantly rearranging it. And,
like a human Google.
Well, I suppose, except that it's themed. It's more like a musical piece in some sense, because it has a structure, and so I'm tinkering with different parts of it, and sometimes there are pieces that are radically revised, but it's more like a computer file system. That might be a way. You know, you have your own personal file system, and everything's related in some sense to everything else. And like, I can remember, I don't know if this is common or not, but I don't know how many files I have in my computer. Maybe 250,000. I know where every one of them is.
Okay.
So, and it's because they're all thematically related. So,
right.
And it's the same with the body of knowledge that I've built. And so when I read something, I just add to what I already know, and then I know where all the information is. But I forget lots of what I read. Lots and lots of it. Majority of what I read.
And what are your weaknesses then? Do you have any?
I'm not very mathematically intelligent, I would say. I mean, not too bad. I'm somewhat above average, but I've had students who are mathematically gifted, and they're so much better at mathematical reasoning than me that we're not even in the same conceptual universe. So that's definitely a weakness. So that's an intellectual weakness. I have a bit of a temper, and that has its advantages, but it has its disadvantages. I have suffered more with mood control than might be optimal. So I've had that take me out for times in my career where I wasn't functioning as effectively as I could because my mood wasn't regulated well.
You were depressed?
Yeah, although that seems to have been treated quite well by this diet. So I think it was an inflammatory condition. There's lots of reasons for depression. So I think it was a side effect of an autoimmune disorder. But that took a very, very long time to figure out. And so there were times, many times in my career, where I wasn't operating with peak efficiency. And that's made me more irritable and sometimes prone to, perhaps prone to anger in ways that haven't been productive. Those are the primary weaknesses, let's say, that I've had to contend with. There's others. I mean, when I was a kid, I really liked to drink, so it took me a while to get that under control. That, again, had its advantages, disadvantages, but as a long-term strategy, it wasn't a good one. What else? I'm prone to say yes to virtually everything. And so, because if something comes along and I'm interested in it, then I'll want to pursue it. That's a consequence of...
And do you feel stressed up, or is it...
Well, if I'm on top of things, it's great, because it's a never-ending vista of opportunity. But if my mood tilts, then I have way too many things to do, and I'm sort of crushed under the weight of it. So that can be a disadvantage. And then it keeps me... I don't know, it's the downside of having an entrepreneurial temperament. You know, people think that creativity is an untrammeled benefit, but it's not, because it tangles you up in things, and those things can fail. And even if they don't, you have to keep them going once you're committed to them. And so I suppose I have a proclivity to be overcommitted. Now, I've been able to deal with that because I also play a game constantly with myself, which is I'm always trying to figure out how to do things in the maximally efficient manner. And so I can usually figure out how to do multiple things simultaneously in a way that addresses all of them.
Can you give some example?
I'm recording all my lectures and I'm using them as the first draft for much of what I'm writing. And I do a different lecture every night so that I'm using the lectures as the grounds for much of what I'm going to be writing next. And so that way and for blog posting and potentially for newspaper articles and
for the book as well.
Yeah, and for the book, yeah. And so I built this system called the self-authoring. It's on selfauthoring.com, and it's a series of exercises that are designed to help people write an autobiography and to assess their personality, faults and virtues, and to make a plan for the future. And it really works quite well. We've done a fair bit of empirical research validating it. And that forced me, I built a business out of that, and that forced me to learn how to do sales and marketing and customer support, and to learn to not program software, because I can't program, unfortunately, which is another weakness, but to design it. And so that's another example of efficiency, I would say.